You're listening to the Everyone's Wrong podcast. We leave trigger warnings, safe spaces, political correctness behind to explore the extremes of political discourse.
Hey, you fucks, this is Everyone's Wrong. I'm Dave, a.k.a. the Great White North.
I'm Destin Dark, a.k.a. the Manic Hispanic.
And I'm Ed Smith, the new.
Free at last, free at last.
Free at last.
Thank
Zuckerman.
I'm free at last. And old Eddie Boy and Dave spent some time in the Facebook jail. Chained down, beaten, strip searched, told to bend over and...
I got told to grab my ankles. I didn't like that too much.
Yeah, but that's a regular Tuesday night for you.
Hold, yeah, I would say was that the officer searching you, or is that your cellmate? It's who's telling you is the whole story.
Well,
your cellmate. Okay.
Apparently, Ed's been moonlighting in New York as a drag queen.
Oh my
rock and roll drag queen.
Oh, fuck you.
Well, Conception Bay, like there's like three people.
Three people. There's 25,000.
Oh, yeah, I'm from a city of 1 million with another city attached to it of 900,000. So again, three people.
Okay. So you guys got a 24-hour ban on Facebook.
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
What did you do?
Well, I told a muzzy that.
Oh no!
Sorry.
Oh no!
What?
Go on.
That's what Australians call Muslim people.
Okay. Lovingly.
Okay. Lovingly. I told a Muslim that was justifying child brides and kitty fucking that he was a wife-beating goat fucker that was too much of a savage to ever really understand why fucking a 9-year-old is wrong for an old man to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him that his Quran was a piece of shit and that his God was a homosexual.
Okay. Have you guys ever seen the meme? It's like, how to stop ISIS, and it's like
the goat with the bomb.
The goat with the bomb and the detonator is in the asshole. So what you're saying is that the true answer is to put it in a 9-year-old?
Yes, that's basically it. Yes. Moving on. I did also post a picture of like a pig man from like Star Wars that had Allah
that hurt
bent
Ed.
over.
I'm sorry. What I said just hurt Ed. Like he is.
I know, and I was moving the fuck off that you said, sir. I was like, I'm keeping the I am the host, bitch. I'm just gonna ignore that and move the fuck on. So I posted a picture of a pigman from Star Wars bending over Allah and fucking him good.
Oh my god.
They first contacted me about the picture and was like, hello sir, you can't do that. And I was like, okay. And then the next day I tried to show you that it was minus 35, which is like retarded to even say, because the air hurts your face and you can't breathe properly. And I wasn't allowed to post anymore. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I look in and they showed me what I said.
Mm-hmm. But you were worse than I was. I got a fucking 6 to 12 hour fucking ban first, and then I got a 24 hour.
Hang on, Ed. Hang on. To a Muslim, I wasn't worse because I was insulting him. You went after the Almighty Allah.
That's true. Okay, but hold on. I've been zucked twice since I started podcasting. The first one was the night that Trump was elected, where I posted, hey guys, stop crying. No one is on the way to your house to rape you. No one's going to grab your pussy. There's not going to be like, we're not going to push all the Mexicans out of the country or into the sea. Like I promise. And I got a 3-day ban for that. A 3-day ban. And, I got a 3-day ban for a turkey with a scrotum for the little giblets there. Ed, you're a hunter. What do you call little giblets there on the neck of a turkey?
1 second.
Scrotum.
It's got a waddle.
It's got a waddle. Okay. So I posted a picture of a turkey with a scrotum for a waddle, and I got a 3-day ban for that. In our closed group, I'd like to say the only person that's ever been fucking booted from our group is the one that. Anyway.
But hey, I did put in the description. Do not fucking of the group. Like there's only a few rules. No fucking screenshotting people and then fucking what do you call that? Doxing them later, and no fucking running to Facebook.
No snitching. Oh yeah. We can handle everything like between us.
Yes.
Getting back to why I was banned as well. But what pissed me off was he didn't get banned for anything he said, like about fucking children. But I got nailed for stupid comments against this imaginary sky daddy.
Yes. It's insane. It's the cognitive dissonance that is the Facebook administration. This is not anything new. They always side with the Islam.
Well, the problem with basing rules off of people being offended is that what offends people is relative to them. It is always subjective, and it is almost never objective. Right. You know, I real quick. I don't buy into the argument that, offense is taken and not given. Like, it's both ways. Like, I can definitely give you offense and it's your choice to take it or not, but I can give it as well as you can take it. But I find it offensive that in Australia they have children as young as like 6 on hormone blockers and call themselves transgender. I can't fucking block anybody for supporting that. Like I can't get them fucking put in Facebook jail because Facebook doesn't find that offensive. I fucking find that offensive. So
I heard that it was 3 was the youngest in the U.S. 3.
That's nuts.
I'm not going to Google that because if it's true,
to.
No, stop, Dave. Stop. This is my country.
Oh, that hurt you, didn't
would
it?
rather stay in ignorance about this one. This is the first time I've not wanted to know something. I do believe.
I went to but me and Dave both went aggressive at this fucker because he was advocating child molestation and child fucking. Pretty, you know what I mean? This guy was aggressive at it. I've never been banned in my entire life, but I mean, this guy deserved everything I threw at him, and then some. So I'm not apologetic. I'm not going to back down from that cunt. And what my time on Facebook has taught me is fuck Facebook.
Facebook has been my favorite platform, but it's probably because of the long form nature of it. That's probably really what sums it up.
I'm moving over to Minds.
I'll chat it with you. I joined something called Hello a while ago. It never really went anywhere.
Okay, so this is from the Washington.
Okay, I'm concerned about not necessarily like boys calling themselves girls as much as I am like hormone blockers and stuff. But
on hormone blockers.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so hang on, let me go back in because I closed it because you're like, hang on. Yeah, allowing a 3-year-old to be a transgender is insane. Recently, MSN reported about a boy who became a transgender at a staggering young age. One day, why did you fucking pop up ads?
You gotta get a pop-up blocker, Dave. I'll hook you up.
I know, I do. And now I've lost the article because I went too far back. Anyways, basically what it was saying was that the parents allowed the child to do so. Yeah, 3 years old.
To me, that's the same as not giving your kids vaccines. It's
which is allowed in a lot of states here.
It's crazy.
Yeah, religious exemptions.
Well, I don't think there is anything wrong with the parent. Like, if the child was like, "Oh, I feel like a girl," if the parent was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, you're a girl," but to actually give medicine,
that's what I mean. I don't care if they want to like play with dolls and stuff like that and dress up like a girl. That's fine. The giving them medication where we have no empirical data on what the long-term effects of this shit is. None. So, like, let's get that data first.
Well, the data right now is that transgender people have horrendously high suicide, and transitioning doesn't help. And of course, they blame bigotry for that. You know, it's the bigotry of the gaps argument. Once again, that they come at us with. But to me, it just like it can't be a very splendid existence to feel like you're in the wrong body. Like I don't doubt that they feel that way. A lot of them.
But I mean, if it was just bullying and societal non-acceptance, there are a lot of groups that have that same sort of stigma, but their suicide rate isn't as high as that. The only time in history was people killing themselves during World War II. During the Nazi occupation,
like with the children, though, right?
Children,
with the children.
Yes.
My 5-year-old, when he was 3, told me he wanted to be a fire truck. Okay? Right. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're 3.
Right.
And even at 6, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Exactly. I mean, there's grown people who actually do transition that regret it afterwards.
Yes.
So, I mean, if an adult can alter their mind after something's done, how can we accurately justify doing this to children?
You know, part of growing up is trying on different identities, you know?
Yes.
To let your children commit to any irreversible life decisions early on. Like you wouldn't let them get, you know, their favorite band tattooed at 15 if you're a reasonable parent, but hormone blockers so that they never, and here's the, also, if a male never goes through puberty and develops like a male penis, they can't really turn it into a fully functioning a functioning vagina. Is my understanding. It's not like I've talked to. That's just things I've read. I'm no expert on this. So you're really fucking them twice, aren't you?
But I mean, like, I fully agree with letting them experiment with any personality they want to try on. Give them carte blanche to that. It's when you get into medication and surgery at such a young age where you really don't know if they're taking on what they don't even know what they're taking on. The parents really don't know what they're taking on because they don't know if this is just a phase or if this is real. And they don't know what the long-term effects are. That's the biggest drawback.
I judge parents that let their kids get piercings and things when they're, you know, I would say below 16, 17. Like, you know, you see these badass kids, you know, in Walmart sometimes with fucking fuchsia hair and earrings and, you know, lip rings and shit. And they're fucking kids. You know, I'm gonna judge their, and look, I was that as a, you know, 18, 19, 20, some shit like that. But that's an adult and you can make those embarrassing decisions as an adult. But, you know, those piercings are permanent, man. Like, you know, those stretched ears, they're fairly permanent. And I know because I had 5/8 inch ears and I let them go back down and it doesn't look too much different from a regular piercing. But, you know, if people really look, you can tell, you know. So,
but I mean, like, I'm sure there's tattoos that you have, Dustin, that you regret getting.
No, but, I put a great deal of thought into all of my tattoos. They all, like, I'm a symbology person, and all of them have a symbolic meaning to me that I felt like would stay with me. And the good thing about symbols is that what they mean can change with you. You know, so all of my tattoos are images. There's no words or anything like that. You know. I have some video game symbols. I have a banjo on my knee, which is a pun about Alabama. And if you think that's not going to stick with me for a long time, I don't think you know who I am.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, I can conceivably think of people who have had tattoos and regret it getting
Yes. I'm a careful planning person, and I realize that your tattoo is one of the few things you can nearly guarantee to take to the grave with you. So I take them seriously, you know, which is why I take this fucking transgender thing to wrap it all up in a little bow. That's why I think, like, fucking throw on the brakes, guys. You know, we're going too far. There's an iceberg ahead, and we're gonna sink this bitch. Like throw on the brakes.
Okay, brakes are on.
Fucking yes, sir. Sorry.
I stopped talking. I was just like,
I know, dude. Like I've tried to bring in the subject a couple times, and we haven't squeezed it in. I know. Sorry, guys.
The fuck out. Like, whatever.
Sorry, guys.
3-year-olds, not good. Adults, okay.
Yes, adults. Yes, let adults be adults. Let kids be kids, and kids don't know shit. So be an adult for them, and don't let them do dumb shit.
Like I said, my kid wanted to be a fire truck. So
fire trucks.
Moving on.
Vroom, vroom.
Onward and forward. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be back with the first segment of the show. And in the first segment, we will dip back into the gong show that is Laurier University up here in the frozen fucking tundra. That is like the coldest winter or coldest December in over 57 years. Yeah,
it is part of the country.
Yeah, you're warm. Shut up.
It's lovely here. I'm in shorts right now.
Yeah, you both can fuck off. It was minus 35 when I got my truck to go to work.
Celsius?
Yes.
Yeah. Snap.
Yes. Minus 35. Yeah. Yeah.
That's,
do you know what it feels like? Okay, most people won't actually know what the reference that I'm going to make is, but when minus 35 Celsius hits your skin, it feels like a blade piercing it. It's like a burning sensation.
It's like when you piss in the bed in the wintertime, you got to wait till spring thaw to get out.
Yeah, there you go. And when you breathe in through your nose, your nostrils, they stick together, like they stick to the inside of your fucking, and it hurts your lungs.
And this is what we call a segue.
Yes.
Adios, amigos.
No, don't go. No, we have a show to do. Please stay with us.
Oh, yeah.
And we're back from the break, and like I said, we're going to be talking about Laurier once again. Like this, I think this is the most talked about subject on any podcast I've ever been on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gift that keeps on giving. Actually, so much shit's coming out about it.
You think it's a gift?
No, it's sarcasm.
Because I'd rather not talk about a university in this manner, right? Because you would think that it would be held to a higher fucking standard.
Of course. But this is such as the times we're living in.
So, Ed, this is all your fucking segment.
Well, as we've mentioned before, that the report is finally out. She's been vindicated.
Well, give a quick background.
Okay, so Lindsay Shepherd was a TA at the university, Sir Wilfrid Laurier University. She played a clip of Jordan Peterson in her class about gender pronouns. She got hauled behind in front of a kangaroo court. She recorded it, blasted it to the media. The media picked up the story, and we heard 3 SJW professors lambast her over false allegations, which we now know that there was never any allegations whatsoever. They're independent. The university called an independent researcher to come in, found out there was never any official complaint ever made, not even an informal complaint, and basically they just did it because she had put a Jordan Peterson, which they politically vehemently disagree with, and they raked her over the coals.
And we didn't cover that on the show, that it's come out that there was no students that complained.
No, we did last week.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a couple weeks. I've been very drunk since then. So.
And so the report's out. So what we're going to do tonight is just listen to a piece of audio. It's rather lengthy, so we're not going to break it up as much as normal. and talk over it. There will be a few minutes where we will do that. But this audio is with Jordan Peterson and 2 professors from Laurier University, and it's outstanding. I recommend that you go and listen to the whole 2-hour, yes, I said 2-hour, clip. It is well worth sitting and listening to. There's so much information in it, and it's actually probably one of the best pieces done on this subject, as well as probably one of the best videos I've seen in a while.
So basically what you're saying is that you're a Jordan Peterson knobgoller now?
No, I think it's the interaction between the 2 Wilfrid Laurier professors and Jordan Peterson that actually make it really, really well.
Yeah, you love Jordan.
Oh. Well, look, I disagree with Jordan Peterson quite a bit, but I also support him on quite a few things. And this is on his Facebook, is where the clip come from. Dave's getting butt face.
Can I not harass Ed without you defending him?
He's my white knight, man. Fuck off.
I am.
Yes.
Look.
You're Hispanic.
Us colored folks have stick together. You see what I'm saying?
That is true.
So,
when you have the all-domineering white man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But you know that I have to, as the white man's burden, I have to throw you 2 on my shoulders and trudge on, right?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah. Okay, which one of you fools is playing a clip?
Dustin's going to play the clip for us.
I'm here with a couple of professors from Wilfrid Laurier to talk about the Lindsay Shepherd scandal and what happened with Professor Rambukkana and Pimlott and Administrator Adria Joel, who I think is the unsung, what would you call it, the unsung villain in this entire process, because she seems to have escaped relatively unscathed, even though I think her role is more reprehensible than anyone else's. Anyways, why don't you guys introduce yourself and talk about what you've been doing at Wilfrid Laurier, and also just let everybody know why we're meeting.
Yeah, well, I'm Dave Haskell, and I'm a prof at Laurier. I'm in the Faculty of Liberal Arts. This is my colleague, Will. Will, how did we come into this whole thing? Like, this didn't just happen with the Lindsay affair. Like, well, to background, we support maximum freedom of expression, and we've really found each other, along with a few other professors who feel the same way that we do, that free expression and free inquiry is the core value of a university. But sort of, how did we run into each other?
I'm in the business school, so my exposure to faculty arts is minimal, and I've been really sheltered from this professionally. But watching what's happening in the U.S., watching what was happening to you at the U of T, I'm a grad, did my PhD here, and it was in January that our university leadership sent out an email explaining to the faculty how to think about the Trump travel ban, and declaring its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And I was really offended by that they would see fit to pronounce on a political issue in another country.
Offended? Why?
I've got a PhD. I'm able to reach my own conclusions about whether these things are good or bad. I don't need my administration preaching to me about the right way to think about an issue, a political issue particularly.
And so why do you think they did that? And what do you think they were thinking when they did that? Because that sort of seems self-evident, right? It's not the administration's role to dictate a political stance to the faculty. That's just clearly not their role. So what do you think they were thinking?
It seemed like a manifestation of Trump derangement syndrome. It seemed like just the same reaction that the Democrats in the U.S. were having.
So that would be them talking about what we talked about on episode 2, which is Hitler hysteria. That's just a different term for the same thing. It's people seem to be losing their fucking minds just because Trump's in office.
They lost to this horrible person, and they couldn't understand why. And he was so reprehensible. And here was yet another terrible thing that he was doing, and we must all agree how bad it was.
Well, I mean, even if you can make that case, say personally and even socially, the idea that you could make that case and then be university administration and then tell your faculty to think that way, I mean, that's taking it to a whole different level of presumptuousness.
Did that come from our administration, yes, or from the Diversity and Equity Office?
No, from the administration, from the leadership, the university leadership.
Is that
over
right?
The CPAM.
I remember it's confusing because I remember we also got an email from the Diversity and Equity Office when Trump won, and they said that they've created a safe space and they were going to be open for extra hours in case anybody needed to go and find comfort.
Right, that happened a lot in the United States, hey? Yeah. But you'd think at least the Americans have some justification for it, given that it's their country. Well, I mean, we need safe spaces because a conservative was elected in the United States, not even in our country. It does seem to be a little bit on the absurd side.
Well, it just, to me, they didn't send out an email when Justin Trudeau won. Mm-hmm. And I have to imagine that there were some students who were offended. Like, there's got to be conservative students at Laurier. But it's very much a one-sided conversation. When we talk about administration, when we talk about the Diversity and Equity Office, they talk about diversity, but they really don't mean it because they do not want those students who are ideologically.
So basically what they're saying right here is very important. This started long before the Lindsay Shepherd ordeal. This started happening on Laurier's campus when Trump got elected. So this is a ridiculous an absurd state of affairs in a Canadian university.
I highly doubt that I think it was probably like they were planning it before, but it was like the Trump thing that was like kind of a linchpin that made them be able to start their, like, I'm sure they had this plan prior to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but can you imagine sending out a document to your professors to say what they can think about a certain issue?
Yeah, and something that's not even in this country. It's the definition of go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
basically.
And you can understand why some of these professors are getting their backs up and saying, like, well, fuck you, I got a PhD, I don't need to hear what you have to say.
But all of that is irrelevant. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. These motherfuckers are professors in Canada.
Right.
Again, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So these,
the PhD or no PhD, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm talking about the guys that are like opposed to it. These guys, yes. But these guys have a PhD, and they have.
But that's what I'm saying. Ed. It doesn't matter if they have a PhD or not. Right. It could be the fucking janitor in the university. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. Trump is the president of the United States. I don't like. You can't tell me how to feel about a president, and you can't even tell me how to feel about the prime minister of Canada. Just go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Period.
Hey, I'm sorry for the interruption. Go on again.
No, go ahead. Fucking bullshit. Now I'm starting to get pissed off.
Diverse. They talk about inclusion, but they purposely will exclude those students. And an email like that is proof positive of that kind of exclusion. But
that was the thing that just got me hopping mad. And I was emailing back and forth with a colleague at Queen's, and we were talking about the importance of free speech, and this had outraged me. And he sent me a link to a Star article that David had written. This was now maybe a month later in February or March about this guest speaker.
Daniel Robitaille.
Yeah. And that she couldn't speak.
And was she Gomeshi's lawyer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So merely because she served as a defense lawyer for someone, she was pilloried.
Well, this was another, like, when people look at the...
Okay, so the Ghomeshi, the reason for people that aren't Canadian, Ghomeshi was a radio host, and TV host, the most popular radio and TV host in Canada, who had a bunch of sexual assault and deviant claims against him, like choking, slapping, but he got off on all the charges. By all accounts, he was guilty. I'm not going to say he wasn't.
That's not true. Well, because he got off because the witnesses that went before the Crown, which is the prosecution in our country, they were seen as unfit because they had lied in numerous statements that they had made.
Yes, but there was others that it was just it's just too many. Right? You know what I mean? It's one of those situations. It's like the Bill Cosby thing. It's like the Bill Cosby thing. There's just too many.
But in a court of law, he was found innocent. So we can only say that he was innocent based on court of law.
Or he was proven not guilty.
Yes, not guilty.
Yes. I'm not going to say he was innocent, Ed.
Yeah, I was saying that the whole time because I've seen this clip.
Yeah. But I mean, they do give the background a little bit.
Yes. Oh, they do afterwards? Okay.
Because it was fun to watch. Because I'm just going to cut all that out. Boom, gone.
I haven't. You should.
No, I'm just kidding.
Tell me to shut the fuck up.
This is something that is, it is a regular occurrence. And now it isn't always as high profile, but whether it's students in my office saying, I can't speak, whether it's my colleague sometimes saying to their students, who believes that they're stifled? And every hand goes up. And there have been cases of that. Colleagues have come and told me. But we've got these other examples, like when Daniel Robitaille came to speak at the Brantford campus of Wilfrid Laurier, and some students agitated until she was forced not to do so. And my president...
Right, we should provide some background. So that was the Ghomeshi case, right? And so Ghomeshi was a CBC journalist who was accused of sexual assault and sexual misbehavior by a number of people, who was immediately let go at CBC, who was dragged viciously through the press, I would say, and then was found innocent in the courts. And he had a defense lawyer, and the defense lawyer had been invited to speak.
Yes, she was part of the defense team. She was going to speak, and she wasn't going to speak about the Ghomeshi trial, in fact. She was going to talk about what it's like to be a powerful lawyer in the big city, in Toronto. And I mean, that would have been really valuable for the criminology students. Right. But the students who were agitating against her, really, with the support of several professors, they were saying, well, no, if she comes on, it will trigger students. It will mentally harm students. And so that was used as justification for the agitation. It's very
interesting, too, to me to see that these claims of harm and so forth are generally put forth by people who have no clinical expertise whatsoever. And their idea is that the way that you... First of all, that the way to aid people's mental health is to protect them, and there's no evidence for that whatsoever. And the second is that in your attempts to protect them, the best thing to do is to shelter them from exposure to ideas that would be challenging or frightening, which is precisely the opposite of what a clinician does when he's trying to, or she is trying to, deal with someone who has excess anxiety. What you do in a case where someone who has excess anxiety, even as a consequence of a trauma, let's say, is you get them to voluntarily expose themselves to increasingly larger doses of exactly what frightens them. That's the curative route. So not only is it advice that's being disseminated, say, by people who aren't clinicians, it's actually advice that's being disseminated who are promoting the opposite of what an informed clinician would do. And that isn't my opinion. That's as close to a consensus as anything you could reach among clinical practitioners, right? The rules for clinical improvement is get your story straight, something like that, talk about your past, sort it out, and expose yourself to the things that you're afraid of, that you're inclined to avoid. That's the pathway to resilience and more robust mental health. Okay, so tell us the story a bit. You guys have an inside view of what's happened on the Wilfrid Laurier campus since the Lindsay Shepherd affair broke.
I should just say that, after this Robitaille event, I read David's piece and immediately emailed him and just said,
and that's how
kindred soul.
Right.
And we met and we had lunch and just talked about, free speech and the Chicago Statement and how can we get it implemented at the university. But we just couldn't see any way forward and really felt...
Right, so that's another thing we want to discuss. You guys have rewritten the Chicago Statement,
that's
right? So that it's more appropriate in a Canadian context.
Right. We call it the Laurier Statement for Freedom of Expression.
Okay. And you've been trying to convince, or you've been trying to communicate with the university authorities to have that ratified, essentially adopted as a statement of principles. And have you had any success with that, or what's the consequence?
They deferred to a task force that's going to be held. And we can certainly...
Okay, is that in the aftermath of the Shepherd affair? Is that going to be part of it?
We didn't really do anything over the summer just because it just seemed too big a mountain. And there seemed to be no way to introduce the idea.
Right.
The catalyst for it.
Now you've got your catalyst.
And Lindsay Shepherd becomes the catalyst. And,
oh, my goodness.
And what object lesson in what goes on at Laurier, but also... what an object lesson in how you handle these free speech opponents. She's really given a model that other students, I hope, will follow. But it was through this Robitaille thing that we got to know each other and a few others.
Yeah, there's a couple more of you.
That's right.
And so about 5, I think you told me.
That's right. So the Robitaille incident really brought us out of the woodwork. We started to chat and say, you know, we see this problem on our university. We don't know what to do. And then when the Lindsay Shepherd scandal broke, we all immediately were emailing us, it's happened again, is essentially what we were saying. And we said, we've got to do something about this. I was out on a trip, and I came home and I said to my wife, where are the newspapers? This was November 12th when the story broke, Christy Blatchford's story. And I said, hey, honey, where are the newspapers? She said, I can't let you see them. I said, why not? She said, you cannot read the papers. And of course, it was because Christy Blatchford's article was in there. So as soon as I read it, I was beside myself. I thought, it's happened again, and this time this is really terrible. They've attacked a TA, is what they've done. So I contacted...
With the full force of the administration.
Right. And claims that she had done mental harm.
Yeah, broken two laws. Two laws, I mean, federal and provincial.
I was sincerely...
I mean, okay, so this is a continuing problem that is occurring at Sir Wilfrid Laurier campus. And the idea that now they have to defer to a task force to get the Chicago free speech code or letter drafted as a policy for the university is ridiculous. This should be, as a consequence of what happened with Lindsay Shepherd, this should be mandatorily adopted by the university right now.
What federal and provincial laws did they break?
She didn't break any, but
no, not her. But they said that federal and provincial laws were broken.
That's what the Rambucana and Pimlott had, and the third person had said she had broken two federal law and also Ontario law for being transphobic is what they claimed.
Okay, carry on, Dustin.
Sincerely worried that they were going to railroad this young lady.
So they could have easily taken her to the Ontario Human Rights Commission. They would have had a field day.
What was going to happen? I contacted Christy Blatchford. I said, can you put me in touch with her? She was kind enough to do so. I got in touch with Lindsay, and I said, I know that this is a terrible time, but you've got a professor who supports you. I knew that these gentlemen also would. And then as quickly as I could, I wrote an op-ed for the Toronto Star that week, just again saying, this is happening. The world needs to be aware of it. But it was really after that Monday, after the story broke on the Saturday, we started to talk and how can we assist Lindsay and how can we?
Well, the op-ed helped. It did. And the fact that the Star ran it was quite remarkable as well. So hooray to the Star.
The Star really does want to do its best to champion free expression.
Yeah, well, you'd think journalists would actually be concerned about that to some degree. So. Well, and I think they are. Like, one of the things that's happened to me in the last year is that although the press coverage of what I did, and just to remind people, so last year I made a video about Bill C-16, which was the bill whose provisions Lindsay Shepherd theoretically transgressed against, just to be clear about that. And when I first made the video, I was accused by all sorts of people, including journalists, of well, first of all, making unnecessary noise and being unnecessarily alarmist, which were the minor accusations. And then the more major accusations were that, you know, I was all the things that you'd expect a far-right agitator to be, a bigot and a transphobe and a racist and all of these things. And so, but what was interesting was that the journalists, by and large, especially the main journalists, turned around on that issue really quickly. It was probably within 3 weeks, because what happened was a couple of them actually went and read the policy documents that I had referred to on the Ontario Human Rights Commission website, which are still there and which are still appalling and have led exactly to this situation with Lindsay. And as soon as they read what I had been outing, let's say, in my video, then they started to understand that that I wasn't just ringing a bell for no reason at all. It was actually reasonable, I think, of people to go after me to begin with, because Canada is such a safe and peaceful place, and our political situation and economic situation has been so stable that when someone comes out and says, look, we're in danger of making a major error, the logical first response should be, no, there's something wrong with you. It's like, we're fine. There's something wrong with you.
The law is just trying to protect these people.
Right, exactly. Well, and so it's reasonable. I think it was reasonable for me to be hit hard in the aftermath of doing that, because, well, generally speaking, whistleblowers in Canada or alarmists in Canada have very little to be alarmist about. Right. But this okay. So fine. So this thing happened with Lindsay. What have you seen happening on the Wilfrid Laurier campus?
Well, things that I'm not particularly proud of, I would say. I mean, I knew that Will and some other colleagues were going to come to the aid of Lindsay, but I was thinking that once her recording became public, that we would just have a flood of professors coming to support our cause, which is we had a Laurier statement for freedom of expression modeled on the Chicago statement. We thought that immediately people would just say, of course, we need to reinforce that this needs to be the primary mission. Free expression, free inquiry needs to be the primary mission.
And we got that out pretty fast.
We really did.
In about 10 days. And got it on change.org. And then I was emailing everybody that I knew and trying to get people interested. And I would say out of 50 emails I sent, I got 15 signatures from personal relationships.
So even with personal relationships, you could only get a 30% hit rate. So what do you think's stopping professors from signing that, say, or clambering on board, especially in the aftermath of the Shepherd recording, which we should point out, and this is one of the things that's very interesting, is that outside Wilfrid Laurier and perhaps outside universities that are in the same boat, the reaction to that recording was universal, right? And national and international and uniform. And the reaction was, what the hell? This is scandalous. There's nothing about this that is acceptable, right? And so what struck me as so remarkable is that even though there's been international outrage over this and outrage of a sort that's only been disputed by a very small number of people, at least to begin with, Wilfrid Laurier responded en masse, let's say, as if this was somehow debatable, as if there were two sides of the story here, let's say. And I thought Rambukkana and Pimlott, who were the professors, what they did, I thought, was appalling in upbraiding her and in the manner in which they did it and in the language that they used. But I thought what was truly terrifying was the presence of Adria Joel at that inquisition, because she was an administrator who was hired specifically to do exactly what she was doing by legislated necessity on the part of the Ontario Liberal government, right?
This point is crucial. Lindsay Joel, or whatever her name is, her position there is legislated by law because of Bill C-16. That's her job, is to enforce the legislation under Bill C-16 at the university.
Is she the one that said that Lindsay Shepherd had broken the law?
Correct.
Okay, so so connect all the dots here. A government official is there to enforce the law. That person says you have broken the law. Is she right? That's her one. That's her one job.
Yeah, that's her one job. But no, this meeting should never have occurred, as what the report, the third-party investigator found in his report, was that this meeting between Rambukkana, Pimlott, and this lady Joel should never have happened, because there was no formal complaint, there was no informal complaint. This was a witch hunt.
And yet these professors emailed each other and said it happened again.
Yeah.
This time it's a TA.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there is it this lady abusing her power, or is this systematically being abused?
This is systematically being abused. This is the first time she got to exercise her authority in a thing.
Do you have evidence,
like, by law,
that other people fulfilling her role are doing the same thing to other people at other universities? Any evidence?
No, we have no evidence of that so far.
So okay.
So what we know is that if there was what is supposed to happen is if there is a complaint, yes, that lady is supposed to be in on a meeting to discuss what's going on. Mm. However, there was no complaint. This is fabrication dressed up to attack this young woman. Okay. Because of a political difference.
I just want to keep things in perspective as to what we know. We know that it seems reasonable to believe, based off what these professors have said, that this has been an ongoing thing within this one school. But we don't have any evidence that the three of us are aware of that this is ongoing in other Canadian universities.
Right. We don't. What we know is that this is the crux of of the problem here so far.
Because it wasn't just the university that was involved in this. Her position was set up because of legislative necessity, which is something also to keep in mind when we're going after the universities. Okay, so you had a hard time getting faculty on board. How many faculty members did sign it?
59, is it? Yeah.
Out of how many faculty?
550 full time. And so you say, well, what's going on with them? Well, I think that some maybe, I know this is hard to believe, but maybe unaware even now.
I think there's a big proportion that are unaware.
It's
unbelievable as that is.
I think that some
Okay, well, that's its own mystery, because I don't know where you'd have to have been in the last month to not have noticed that this has happened.
that people, perhaps in the sciences, the computer sciences, the math, they've got their head down and they're doing their research. And so I don't think there's anything diabolical there. I think that
but business as well. I've got very few signatures from the business faculty. I mean, some, but a lot of people just aren't engaged. It's a bit of a commuter school, a little bit. So I think people are just getting on with their research and their teaching, maybe not aware of the politics.
Well, that's an interesting thing in and of itself, because I think part of what's led to the occupation of the university, let's say, by the radical postmodern types, is the proclivity of the scientists in particular, but also, I would say, the more serious scholars, to be focusing narrowly on their field of inquiry, which is essentially what they should be doing, and not paying attention to any of the broader contextual issues, which is actually a perfectly fine strategy when things are going well, but a terrible strategy when they're not.
And I cut it off there because this is a really detailed 2-hour conversation with these people, and they get into a wide range of issues. But, I mean, we've took a big chunk of this, 17 minutes, 40 seconds, to try to titillate you to go listen.
Yeah, probably the longest clip I've ever played in the 3 years of podcasting.
Yeah, and I tried to cut it up, but, I mean, there were some major points. Like, one of the points I really wanted to focus on, too, was that Jordan Peterson realizes that when he got attacked really strongly in the beginning of what he was doing over this thing, it was right, because a lot of people weren't aware of what was going on, hadn't read the issues, and they, as me and Dave have always said, Canada is a pretty easygoing country. Shit like this shouldn't happen here in our country. It normally doesn't. Would you agree, Dave?
Yeah, but I'd also say with Jordan Peterson, he got a lot of things wrong when he first started, right? So it made it easy to attack him, like saying that he was going to go to jail for not using somebody's proper pronoun, which even if he did get taken to the Human Rights Commission, jail is not an option. So there was a lot of mistakes made by Jordan Peterson, but right. I'm probably his biggest detractor, second biggest detractor, but he did take the brunt of the blow for us, I guess, for the people that would think that would be on the side of free speech, and that would think that what's going on at Laurier is fucked up and what's going on in the University of Toronto is fucked up. He did take a lot of the swacking that everybody else would have, right? Yeah. No?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind here is that this university is steadily getting worse.
Laurier. It's in the news every week. This is crazy. It's crazy talk. So what's going on with Lindsay?
Did you hear me?
So Lindsay herself, what's up? What's going on?
Well, she's been cleared as of right now of everything. She's been found totally innocent. What she did was actually right. What she did was exactly what a professor should do. When there's relevant material on the public airways or on on TV, to bring that into the classroom to make a real life scenario out of what you're being taught. So basically, you're actually reinforcing what you're being taught in the university.
So the people that harassed her were fired, obviously.
No, we don't. There is the third-party report. The only parts we have of it is what the chancellor of the university, McClatchy, has released. She's not releasing the entire report.
She's not
no.
biased.
And the thing is, we don't know. We won't know what the full report has to say, and that's the scary part because it is kept under wraps. It's confidential at this point. So,
yes.
What we should do as people in Canada, as well as people in the United States and around the world, is demand that this report be open to the public, and so that we can hold Wilfrid Laurier to the standards that were outlined in that report. Because I'm sure he made recommendations when he did his report. I'm sure that this task force that she's putting together is just a facade to make it look like they're doing something. We need to know exactly what he recommended and to keep them transparent and vital. Because technically, this task force could really do some damage to the university and make it binding, right? And we don't know what kind of ramifications Canada is going to get.
I think what should happen is that at Yale University, the administration should send a letter out to the professors telling them how to feel about Justin Trudeau.
Letting other men fuck his wife. Finish the joke. Okay, there you go. All right. So let's back. All right. All right.
But the only thing I wanted to know is, with this case, and this will probably be the last segment unless there's some earth-shattering material
unless
come out
she's
about
twerking on YouTube. We ain't talking about her again, are we, Ed? Has got a little crush on her, I think.
No, well, I mean, the thing is that now she, all TAs and some professors
pretty hot though, Ed?
have to go through a mandatory retraining.
Dodging that question.
Yeah, she is cute though. But they have to.
I knew it.
Has to go through the mandatory retraining, and fuck, we don't know what that retraining is going to take. Who's going to put it off? Is it the diversity clinic? Because fuck no, if that's the case, I don't want to see it.
Well, I think the retraining should be don't treat your TAs like fucking shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like it should be those professors that get retrained on how to not be fucking free speech stifling cunts.
Yeah. I mean, we also had a professor from the University of Toronto saying that Ram Buchanan was a victim because he's brown and she's white, and they're only listening to her because she's white. So come on,
Listen,
I mean, like this is the kind of shit.
Look at it from his perspective. This uppity white bitch shows up, it causes this big stinking class, oversteps her bounds, and actually thinks she knows something about anything, clearly because she's white, and then she gets an apology. You know what I mean? Which
That's
is,
right, yeah.
I think it's the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'm from Alabama. I mean, like, how dare they apologize to this uppity white bitch for overstepping her bounds? She should know her place. That's a throwback to last episode, guys. If anyone didn't get
yes, we remember. We remember.
Okay. Well, other people listening, guys.
This is not the first time I've heard something absolutely crazy said by a professor at University of Toronto. Like the first time that you and I watched a debate with Jordan Peterson, Ed, the person debating him who said that he's a professor of medical history claimed that there is no differences biologically between men and women.
Right.
And that he could unpack that for us, but he never did.
I bet, and I've thought about this a lot, he would say that, being a man or a woman is a role that you feel, and some men have penises and some
biological
women have penises. Biological. Okay, but he would say that women can have penises just like men can. So there is no biological difference between the gender expression known as men.
Okay.
I swear to fucking God, that's where he's going, Dave, and you know it.
The day that I can give birth, or any man can give birth, will have a
Well, they can, and this is how you make it happen, Ed, is you get a woman to say she's a man, we all agree with it, you fuck her, and then she has, I'm sorry, excuse me, and then he has your baby. Because reasons, and logic, and science. I mean, look, hold on.
But hang on,
they're going to wear a lab coat, and they're going to have an anal thermometer in their pocket, and if you give them lip, they're going to fucking use it.
Hang on.
Like
Hang on. By using their logic, how they like to say, or when I say they, I mean SJWs, that gender and
how do we get back in this topic?
And sex are not the same thing. I brought us back here. So they can't then say when it suits them, gender and sex is the same thing, right? Like it doesn't. Like if you're going to say just because I choose to, do you know what I mean? Like if gender and sex aren't the same, then and you want to use it on that end of the argument, you can't use it on the other end. Am I making any sense?
Yes, you are. Totally
Probably
makes
not.
sense. No, it's totally making sense. You're right. If they use it on one end of the argument to justify their claim, and then they go back and repeal it to also justify their claim, it's circular reasoning, and it's also totally a non sequitur. So I mean, they're destroying their own argument.
So either I buy into the fact that gender and sexuality are two separate things, or biology, I should say. Biology and gender are two separate things, or there's no differences in biology and it's all the same. So whatever.
Right.
Which one do I have? Neither or.
I'm going with biology.
Jordan Peterson. I'm going Jordan Peterson.
I'm gonna call this Schrodinger's penis and ask to move on.
All right, you fucks. Sorry for that one.
What? All right, man.
Move on to the next segment.
And we're back from the break. And in this last segment, we're going to learn all about some white professors who hate being white and want us all to die.
Oh, and a black professor that wants
Okay, so whites and blacks that want us all to die.
All from the great country of the United States of America.
To listen to new messages, press 1.
You're nothing to me but just another target. Dead, kid. Watch out. You want a white genocide? We're going to trouble you. We'll see you tomorrow.
George Cicarello Marr at Drexel University has gotten hundreds of messages just like these.
What's the scariest threat that you received?
Threats that involve my child. That's something that no one wants to hear.
It started last December after he posted this on Twitter. All I want for Christmas is white genocide. More recently, he tweeted that Trumpism and the narrative of white victimization are to blame for the mass shooting in Las Vegas.
Do you stand by all your tweets?
Absolutely. I mean, I haven't tweeted anything that's, that's inaccurate or that it's not, part of a conversation or not, in that case, satirical jab at a certain paranoid, racist fantasy. I mean, these are political debates, right? These are difficult conversations that we need to have.
No, that's look, at least have the balls to stand by your statements or to just call it a joke if it's a joke. Look, what he's doing is not, I don't think, a joke, or I don't get his humor.
Well, I don't know.
Humor,
I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. If a white professor said, all I want for Christmas is a black genocide, or if a Hispanic professor said it about blacks, or blacks said it about Hispanics, I just don't see how we would be talking about it as a joke or satirical in any manner, and how that professor wouldn't have been roasted as soon as it happened, dragged through the mud, and fucking fired, and if not charged for inciting genocide.
Yeah, okay, guys. Do we wipe out white people or not? Like, yes, no. Like, I want. You have strong feelings about this?
I have actually a legit question here, non-satirical, as he likes to call it. What the fuck is Trumpism?
It's like whiteness.
Yeah, so what the fuck is whiteness?
Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? So whatever it
I
is
don't
that
understand what he's
they
talking
want to
about.
talk about it.
Trumpism. I don't understand what that even is.
I think I could hobble together an idea of what, like the whole Pepe memes, 4chan, build the walls, like it's this whole kind of blustering, boisterous way of doing politics. I could see, but is that what he's talking about? Nah, he's talking about fucking, the Klan supports him, and that I fucking guarantee it. And by the way, you joke about genocide, but don't joke about my kids.
Yeah.
Like how many? Hey Ed, you're an educated fella. How many genocides have been no children harmed in the production of this genocide?
Zero.
Okay, so part of genocide is the
Total
the harming,
annihilation.
the removing, the violating of one's children. Okay.
Yep. But he doesn't have a sense of ha-ha when it comes to him.
Right.
I would say that he was going after my children, but they're not white.
Right. Your children are what he's calling for?
I guess.
A little bit of me too, and Ed. Yeah.
But you guys are going to kill me, though, right?
I bet. Well, first we're going to wait till you're the minority, and then we're going to take away the civil rights laws that have been put in. And then we're going to hold you down and fucking ass for about 200 years. It's going to be rough.
But I mean, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous shit. Like, come on. Like, what is this guy really trying to start here? He's not trying to start a conversation. He's not trying to.
Well, I know that's what I was going to say. Like a university professor that starts out a conversation that says, "All I want for Christmas is white genocide." I said white genocide. You didn't get that joke? I said white genocide. How come nobody's laughing but me? Nobody starts out a conversation like that. Like, come.
Chicarello Mar is one of hundreds of professors who've been featured on the Professor Watch List, one of several sites with a similar mission.
We're not saying these professors should be silenced. Instead, we're pointing out what has become a systemic problem in our universities, where professors are able to say things that are completely outrageous.
A California professor on the list got death threats after she was critical of Trump's election.
We have been assaulted. It's an act of terrorism.
A Princeton professor received death threats after saying that President Trump
is a racist, sexist megalomaniac.
There's an entire cottage industry for reporting on controversial things that faculty members say, which then riles up internet outrage mobs who then try and get schools to get rid of.
Oh, sounds something like the left likes to do.
We used to use a website called Right Wing Watch all the time. That takes they've changed. What they used to do is take existing stories about what they would consider to be far right, and collect them in one place and aggregate them. And that is what this website does for professors. It's pretty much a right wing watch for what's going on in the universities, to where they take pre-existing stories and they collect them and put them forward, and what's popular aggregates. So I don't have a problem with that.
No, and they're not trying to get anybody banned. They just want people to realize what's going on. There's a big difference. They're not calling for the suspension of anybody.
Right. They're just bringing information to it, and then the public makes a decision. And here's the thing. I don't believe these people should have their jobs taken. I don't believe they should be getting these death threats or anything like that.
No.
But as someone who opinionates into a microphone on the internet as a hobby, you take what's coming to you when you put your opinions out there like that, man. People
are assholes by nature.
Yeah, 7 billion people might listen, so or might retweet, and you should consider that to a certain extent. I don't know. Am I being cold-hearted, guys?
No. And my message is, the girly professor can start with me.
People who they disagree with.
In the last year, more than 100 incidents of targeted harassment against professors have been reported on college campuses.
This is the front page.
What's the end goal here?
Well, hopefully we get college campuses to be more intellectually diverse. They're not representative of the country, and they're dominated by liberals or institutional leftists.
Some of these professors have gotten death threats as a result of being outed on these websites. Do you see that the watch list has responsibility for that?
I don't have sympathy for people that are in public life that say these sort of statements and then try and play the victim card.
We're talking about death threats, people calling for me to be shot, lynched. They call for my wife to be raped and my kids to be shot in the head.
At Trinity College in Connecticut, sociology professor Dr. Johnny Williams has also been a target.
I hope you get what's coming to you. Thank you.
My God.
Yeah.
The threats came after he shared an article using the hashtag #LetThemEffingDie.
I was only quoting an article that had in the title, "Let Them Effing Die." He wasn't talking about all white people. He was saying, what if racial bigots, what if we ignore them?
Okay, pause it right there for a second.
Use the hashtag let them.
That article that he's quoting, I'm going to use that in air quotes because he's not quoting it, by the way, if you read the actual tweet. But the article that he's talking about is when, remember the congressmen were playing softball and they all got shot by a left-wing nutcase?
Yes.
Well, there was one that was wounded. And he is calling for paramedics to let those congressmen just die. Any right-wing ideologue, he said, just let them die. They don't deserve medical treatment.
So to let the victims of a domestic terrorist attack against government officials be completed, to let them die.
Correct.
I don't think that people should be calling for the guy's wife to be raped or his children to be killed. But the fact that they're calling for him to die, like, he started that shit, right? Why is CNN giving credence to people crying about death threats that were fucking throwing out death threats?
Yes, reciprocal.
How is this
death
a
threats.
fucking thing? Yes. How is this? It doesn't, and they're like it's the worst thing ever. It's like he received fucking death threat. You know what it reminds me of is like, remember the fucking you're probably too young to remember, but that show Unsolved Mysteries.
No, I love that show, man.
Yeah, so that's what it reminds me of. It's like, you know, like it's just like fuck off already. Like it's not a mystery why people are fucking calling death threats on you. Okay, it's not a fucking unsolved mystery. Go fuck yourself.
But you know what? I mean. Again, I'll repeat. I don't believe that anybody deserves death threats or violence being spoken to them like that. But I'm all for free speech. If you can't or if you're writing checks with your ass that you can't cash, I'm sorry. That's it.
And if you tell me you're gonna kill me, and I tell you I'm gonna kill you, you don't in turn get to say
I'm a victim.
I'm a victim, or that death threats aren't okay.
Okay, here's the thing, guys. These guys are doing the equivalent to riding through a bad neighborhood, leaning out the window and screaming "nigger," and they're so surprised that people are like, "Fucking shoot that cracker!" Like, that's what's
true.
gonna happen.
Yes. No.
That's what's going to happen. Yes. Like you have it coming. Back to the story. No, that's what's happening. Yeah, man. You're going to piss people off when you say these outrageous things. And let's be honest, you're saying them because it's edgy and outrageous, and you want the attention. And here you go, kiddo.
And they want the victim status, eh? They want to be. This is back into their whole narrative. They're the victim here, not the. I mean, these people. A lot of these people are saying shit just because they're pissed off with the comments that these professors have said. They're not actually going to do that. Maybe there's going to be one crackpot out of 100 of those that might do something. But I mean, this is just out. These people are mad because of what they said.
Okay, but do these professors still have their jobs?
Well, let's continue with the clip and then we'll see.
Okay.
Die.
Yeah.
Could some people see that as a incitement to violence?
No. I think if people have the correct idea about what white supremacy is and what whiteness is as an ideology, they would have a different point of view.
We did place Professor Williams on leave while we were assessing the facts of the case. We believe strongly and absolutely in academic freedom, but every freedom comes with responsibilities and limitations.
How did it feel when you found out that your school wasn't standing behind you?
I felt disgusted with the way they responded and the way they treated me.
We're still waiting on a couple people.
After his tweet about the Las Vegas shooting, Drexel put Chicarello Mar on administrative leave, citing safety concerns due to a growing number of credible threats against him.
Now I'm teaching my classes online.
Are you allowed on campus?
I'm only allowed on campus with a police escort.
Bring back GCF! Bring back GCF!
You're marching to the provost to ask for your professor back.
To demand for our professor to be reinstated.
In a statement to CNN, Drexel said in part that it's committed to ensuring that its campus is a safe environment for those who study, teach, and work at the university, while upholding its foundational commitment to academic freedom.
We're actually taking away the controversial discussions that need to happen at universities. We need to have tough discussions because there's a lot of bad things going on.
Dr. Williams will be back on Trinity's...
Today in class, we're going to talk about whether or not there should be white people.
Yeah. I mean, and let's just take a step back and look at it from the university's perspective, because they know that this guy's getting death threats. They have to think that maybe some of them are credible. If he's teaching at the university, are they going to detonate a bomb at the school? Are they going to take a semi-automatic firearm and into the school and shoot up the place? They have to treat this as a potentially dangerous situation for the students. So they have to remove him from the premises. I don't have any pity on it.
Would anybody actually like either of you want your children being taught by?
No. No, I wouldn't. But I mean, again, I do not think that we should silence his opinion. I think as a person that believes in freedom of speech, I do believe his opinion should be spoken. But at saying that, we do have the right to say "fuck you" back to him in protest. I mean, I wouldn't want my kids taught by an ideologue, no matter what persuasion it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
The thing that's so striking to me right now is just to go back to the last segment. People make claims that people like Jordan Peterson, these leftist professors, which I guess is the theme of the episode here, make statements that people like Jordan Peterson want to debate the existence of trans people. That he invalidates their existence. Like, that is literally what they're saying should be discussed here in class as well. This is a controversial idea that should be discussed. This isn't literally like, should we use your pronoun? It is, should you exist?
Yeah. Should we?
Which I think should be a fine conversation, but like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, I mean, one we're discussing words, and the other one is actually a systematic extermination of an entire population. There's a difference.
But let's be honest, that old fucking wet handshake professor ain't doing shit.
No, but the conversation he wants is on the systematic. Yeah. That is the difference.
Well, it's your whiteness, which I don't even understand.
Yeah.
If somebody could.
Well, I mean, that was the whiteness was the black professor that was saying that.
Yeah. No. The other guy said it too.
Yeah. Whiteness.
No, but he said Trumpness.
Yeah.
Trumpness and whiteness. Man, I'm so white, I'm Trumpness.
Campus to teach next semester.
What else is going on?
But Professor Chicarello Mar doesn't know when or if Drexel will allow him back in the classroom.
Even if these were credible threats, which I don't believe most of them are, You don't run away from threats from Nazis and white supremacists, especially if you're a university. You can't kowtow to these sorts of threats, or you encourage them.
Oh, okay. So, okay, hold up a second. Because when Milo Yiannopoulos went to speak at Berkeley, the reason to get him off campus was because he's a white supremacist and a Nazi, and his words were going to inflict damage onto them. But he's saying, as a university, they shouldn't back down to these people. They should stand up and protect him. That's a bit of a hypocrisy, don't you think?
I also think that he's calling people that make death threats based on race are neo-Nazis and racist, yet he's making death threats based on race, and he's not a racist?
Correct.
Yeah, the whole thing about the Nazis wasn't that they were Germans, guys. The problem is that they were collectivists that used the idea of guilt group to do this ethnic cleansing thing. That was the problem, and that is what these guys are tweeting about.
Correct.
Okay,
and,
yeah, that should have blowback. Yeah, some.
Yeah. And the fact that the professor who said, fuck them, let them die, tweet, he's going to be back in his university position in Yale next semester.
Wow.
And this Ciccarello, or whatever his last name is pronounced, or however his last name is pronounced, he doesn't know if he's ever going to get back. So, I mean...
Well, so the white guy's getting back in, the black
No,
guy's
the black
not?
guy is, the white guy isn't.
Oh, okay, because I was about to call it racism.
No, now you get to call affirmative action hire. Or I'm sorry, affirmative action not fire?
Rehire? Reinstate.
Anyways.
Affirmative action not forced retirement.
Jesus Christ. Yes, exactly.
But
I'm sure that they both on paid leave.
Yeah, but can you... Okay, let's just think about this for a second. Jordan Peterson...
Let's not,
No, but Jordan
Ed.
Peterson...
Fuck 'em.
No, we're the theme...
I'm teasing you, Ed.
The
I'm
theme
teasing
is
you.
that
I'm teasing
Jordan Peterson is such a prick because he uses words, or doesn't want to use words. Yet these people want actual human beings to die.
Mm-hmm.
There's...
But even if they don't, they said that they did, right?
Right.
And saying is...
And they're complaining that they're being exposed by a website that just repeats their crazy-ass sayings and tweets and stuff. So...
Which is what CNN's doing.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think this is myopic at best and dangerous at worst. Okay, well, what about the person who got put in Twitter prison for saying or making an odd joke, quote unquote, about black genocide, but the guy that said about white genocide, he's not going to go to jail. In fact, his count has never been suspended.
Oh, fuck, you forgot the blue check work, Beto.
He does, actually. He has a blue check.
Oh, kill me. It's verified.
What is it?
Verification.
What does that even mean?
I mean...
What does that even
mean? Originally, verification, the blue check mark, was to say that the person who owns this account has been verified by Twitter that they are who they say they are. So it was mainly for celebrities, so that people could be opening up Twitter accounts in their name, basically.
Okay.
But now it's used as a symbol of... Go ahead, Dustin.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, actually. I'm sorry, Ed.
No. I've been talking for a while.
But now it seems to very clearly be a symbol of who is on the in as far as Twitter is concerned. Because, Milo Yiannopoulos didn't have his check revoked because it's not Milo Yiannopoulos. He had his check revoked because his opinions weren't appropriate and his actions were appropriate. And they're actually doing it to a bunch of alt-right accounts as well. They went through and yanked their certification and went to get... So it is no longer being used in the purported purpose. It is now almost, whether they intend it to be or not, now that they have done this, it is a sign of approval by Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's an Twitter. It's an inevitable consequence of their action, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you pull it because you don't like their
Right.
ideas, them having it means you do. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand how these people still have their jobs. I don't think that I don't really have anything left to say other than like if you even jokingly call for white genocide, you I know Ed's like, I don't want to call for these people's jobs, but I mean, like, there's free speech and then there's calling for people's fucking.
I don't want to call for these
Right.
people's jobs because racist kids have to eat too. Like the children of racists have to eat too.
Yes.
Well,
guess.
well, look, my parents had questionable ideas. Does that mean that they should have their well-being taken from them?
Yes, but
I mean, that is the call to violence,
That person is hang on. It's a call to violence, and it shows that he is biased against white people, and he's going to be teaching somebody's children. And I don't want him teaching my children. Right? He's in a different circumstance than just some fucking Joe Blow guy on the internet. This isn't Milo Yiannopoulos, who's making his own money by being an entertaining guy. This is a guy that's teaching the children of the future, and he's obviously has some kind of hatred towards white people.
Well, it reminded me of the Catholic priests of a certain order that used to self-flagellate, meaning they used to whip themselves and harm themselves if they committed a sin.
Yeah.
That's what this guy seems to be doing. He's a white professor who is calling for his own extinction.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
And then the other guy's just like, die, fuckers, die. I don't know. For me, I don't like in reality, it's up to the university, and I wouldn't like protest and be like, fire that guy. But like, I would think if I was running a business, or I am running a business, if I was running a business that had like these guys as employees and they made statements about white genocide and I had white customers, I would not want them around.
And the fact that this is a public institution too. I mean, these are universities.
Yeah.
So I mean, they should. The federal government should have some say into how their money is, or the state should have say, well, if you're going to have these used, then we're going to revoke funding.
Yeah, you do have free speech laws in the U.S., but I mean, like, just because you have free speech laws doesn't mean your employer can't step in, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what to say at this point. Like, it's crazy that they're saying this.
Yeah.
And then getting mad that people are saying it back.
Yeah, that's what really, the hypocrisy is delicious here. I mean, you can't get any better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of funny that CNN, it should be called No Sense of Irony Network. I mean...
Yeah, well... Yeah, alright. Anybody else have anything left to say about this?
I hope the universities change soon and actually hold free speech to, as well as, hold people to account for their comments that are calling for actual violence, inciting violence, which is not covered by the First Amendment, by the way.
I get where you're coming from with the jobs, but I kind of feel like it's taking care of itself. I don't like mob justice. There's almost no right in this situation. That's where it's interesting to me. Like there's not a side I feel like I can be on.
If it hurts your business, though.
No, fair. Yeah, and that's what I
Yeah.
think people should mainly be doing is once, and this throws back to the last segment again. This is a pretty good episode contiguously. People should vote with their money, with their feet on these colleges. If they come out with the Chicago ethic, this heterodoxy type of approach to university, let's mark it.
We keep on mentioning the Chicago thing. We should probably clarify that for people, right?
Yeah, I mean,
real quick.
What we'll do is the next episode we do, I'll have a little segment on the Chicago.
Okay.
But one thing I would like to say though, again, I don't think they should lose their jobs because of what they say, because I believe in absolute free speech. But I do think that as a person who has a child that's going to university, if I were to send him to that I wouldn't send him to that university. I would vote with my feet. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I was just backing you up in that statement. So.
Okay.
Well, I'm just thinking, if I was their employer, I wouldn't want them around.
Yeah, but again, that's a private versus public institution too, right?
Yes. But anyways, whatever. All right. Well, that was the show for this week. We were off for a couple weeks. If we were a bit fucking out of it, just know that we were out of practice and we'll be better next week.
And if you liked us, thanks. If you don't, fuck off. I'm just teasing.
Hey, easy. Why are you getting all aggro, Ed? I was being all sweet. I was making out with them there, and then you got all fucking rapey.
Sorry.
Why'd you get rapey?
I was in
Ed?
Facebook jail. Shut up.
Ed got us both into Facebook jail.
It was you, you cunt.
I did not do no such thing.
You can't get banned in this group.
What's the term for when
No,
you turn
I didn't
gay
say
in
it.
prison? Prison gay.
Oh, gay for the stay.
Gay for the stay. Thank you for that.
Ed is totally gay for the stay.
No, you're the one grabbing your ankles, buddy.
Let's be honest here, Ed. Out of the two of us, you're the bitch.
Fuck off. No, I'm not a bitch.
Oh my god! Well, he did
wait,
sound like a bitch. You were saying, "Just masturbate tonight,
did.
Dave." I don't feel like it. You
Just-
did assume the
just I have a
position.
headache. I have a headache. I have Advil.
It's not even fair. All right.
All right. Okay. Bye.
All right.
You've been listening to the Everyone's Wrong podcast. You can find us on our homepage at Spreaker.com/everyone'swrong. You can also find us on iTunes and YouTube by searching for Everyone's Wrong podcast, or you can listen to us on your podcast app of choice by importing our RSS feed. You can follow us on Facebook.com/everyone'swrong, or join our closed Facebook group by searching Facebook for Everyone's Wrong After Hours. You can tweet us at wrong_pod or email us at everyone'swrongpodcast@gmail.com.